Hey everybody, it's time for my short part 1 narration review intro for the 1995 Japanese anime television series Street Fighter 2 Victory. Like I said before, I always talk about Street Fighter the animated series, but there was another anime, Street Fighter anime in 95, airing around the same time and finishing around the same time, except I think this anime precedes the animated the North American one by a couple of months, by several months. Street Fighter 2 Victory. Whereas the other Street Fighters, for the most part, were loosely based upon this game. This is only loosely based on Street Fighter 2. This is an alternate world retelling of the events that happened pre Street Fighter, pre-Street Fighter 2, which is something I had an issue with when I got older. As always, when I saw this as a kid, well, this is all I have for storyline and lore outside of video games. And the video games had a storyline, but didn't have much of a story mode. And the lore wasn't as thought out as it was nowadays. So I immediately devoured and thought of this as canon to even though it was weird in several areas. When I got older and learned more about the storyline and lore of Street Fighter, I started to turn on it a little for its changes they made, for its various outrageous changes they made in both character design, even though I like the character designs here, but in character design, and worst of all, personality. I did not like Ryu and Ken's personalities here, especially Ryu. They made them cocky and arrogant, but it was a character journey. They were going to learn and become, and over time become their namesake characters, which they do by the end of the midway towards the end of this series. Yeah, this is loosely based upon the Street Fighter 2 manga, one of the earliest Street Fighter mangas. Only 3 of the chapters were published here in English, with Udon later publishing all 3, but all three volumes, but I can't find them. I can only find the original published 4 chapters, which has a bunch of missing chapters. But this is loosely based on this. Ryu's glutton problem, and him wearing street clothes originated here in this manga, as is Chun-Li and Guile's partnership, which you saw in Street Fighter 2, the anime film. And of course, like I said, it's loosely based on Street Fighter 2. And actually, even though it's Street Fighter 2, this looks and feels more like Alpha 1 and 2 and the final fight. This and the Street Fighter 2 anime film would inspire the Alpha series. After this was scrapped, Capcom would make their own prequel in the much superior Alpha series. The only Street Fighters seen here are Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Guile, Fei Long, Sagat, Cammy, Balrog, a prototype of Charlie, Bison, and Vega, and Akuma makes several cameo-based appearances. And I saw a review to say that in season 2 they were going to bring in the other Street Fighter based characters, including actually bring Akuma into the storyline. But after rewatching it and seeing how this sets up and leads right into Street Fighter 2, I have a newfound appreciation for it. I consider the third best in the Street Fighter franchise, in and outside the video game franchise. The third best in the franchise period, and the third best outside of the video games. And I think most people will disagree, but I think the North American animated series is way better. Is way better. They made better uses of the Street Fighter characters, and they were closer to the storyline, despite the fact that differs in various areas too. And one thing I can't stand is when people say this is canon, but that is not canon. That's another reason I don't mind them changing the storylines that much anymore, despite me being a Street Fighter purist, is because I recognize the Street Fighter adaptation I want will probably never be made. 2, Street Fighter is better off animated than in live action. And 3, none of these, even though no matter how much Capcom says they're canon, none of these Adaptations made outside the game are canon. The canon is the game. Turbo, Alpha, Third Strike, 4, 5, and the most recent 6. Those are canon. The other games and the other forms of media in the franchise, they're an alternate universe under someone else's or multiple people's visions. The canon is the game. So stop praising this. Stop praising this as canon and trying to talk down the animated series. But I like this, and I also love this version's. I love this version of Sagat. Yeah. So yeah, this was my review of Street Fighter the animated. This was my review of Street Fighter 2 Victory. The part 1 and 2 links will be in the description box below. Alright, I'm finished. Ronin Warriors, the first of my Armor anime reviews, is next.